An important ingredient to the day's touring car action at Brands Hatch, the hybrid allocation introduced for the first time this season, limiting the hybrid availability for the top 7 in the championship. Dan Camish, the championship leader in particular. But he's on pole position and he's also on the soft option tyre for round 4 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. We'll join commentators Tim Harvey and David Addison.
And the green flag is waved then to release the cars onto the first of the 2 green flag laps around the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Dan Camish is the man that leads the championship. He's going to start on pole position with Colin Turkington with him at the front. Then it is Jake Hill and Ash Sutton on the second row. Rory Butcher will start 5th ahead of Bobby Thompson. Then it's the reigning champion Tom Ingram and Josh Cook 8th ahead of Dan Lloyd and Ronan Pearson. They were the drivers that qualified for those 5 rows through the top 10 showdown. Then Tom Chilton, Donington race winner 11th ahead of Aaron Taylor-Smith. Then it's Jack Butel, his best ever qualifying puts him ahead of Ricky Collard, Dexter Patterson and George Gamble 16th. 17th on the grid, Stephen Jelly ahead of Jade Edwards. Dan Rowbottom with a 3-place grid drop for a yellow flag infringement at Donington goes from 19th ahead of Andrew Watson. Then there's Aidan Moffat and Mikey Doble. Sam Osborne's repaired car after an accident yesterday is 23rd ahead of Adam Morgan, repaired after an accident. Nicholas Hamilton again, also damage repaired, is next ahead of Will Powell. And it's Nick Halstead who rounds out the grid. So cars making their way around the Indy circuit up towards Clearways. And one driver who is going to be well worth watching as he tries to urge Warmth into the tyres with a big slide is local hero Jake Hill. And Jake, but it's a big sigh of relief, isn't it, that it's a dry day today?
Hi David, yeah, just a bit mate. It's nice to see the dry weather and obviously all the fans out. I mean, just looking around now, it's absolutely packed, so great to see everyone here supporting Toka as always, and yeah, looking forward to this one.
And the introduction of the option tyre is going to make life interesting. You're on the prime, you've got a few on the softer tyre around you. It's going to be interesting, this. Yeah,
big time. Obviously, Dan and Colin are obviously on the soft tyre up ahead. Ash is on the normal with me. So it's going to be an interesting one. I just want to try and stay where I am if I can for this one.
We'll leave you in peace. Good luck, Jake.
Thanks, guys.
So Jake Hill starts 3rd, and he is the best of those on the prime tyre. Ahead of him, Dan Camish and Colin Turkington are on the softs. Now, we've got the option tyre to factor in. We've got the hybrid allocation as well. Let's just remind you how many laps different drivers have got and what tyre they're on. So, in terms of the grid order, Dan Camish, soft tyre, and he's got hybrid over 5 laps of the race, whereas Colin Turkington has soft tyre but 10 laps of hybrid. Jake Hill's on the harder medium tyre, 7 laps of hybrid at his disposal, 12 laps for Ash Sutton and Rory Butcher on the soft tyres. They're going to be fascinating to watch to see what progress they can make. 12 laps also for Bobby Thompson. Tom Ingram, second in the championship, he only gets 6 laps. If you're outside the top 7, then you get the full 12 laps of allocation. The race, by the way, is 24 laps, so 12 is the maximum you can have. Others on the soft tyre, Jack Butel, Andrew Watson is on soft, so Nicholas Hamilton and Nick Halstead. Tim, what are we expecting the soft tyre to do?
Well, the soft tyre is the faster tyre over the race distance. It will come in and produce more grip quicker. Interesting that Turkington's chosen to take it. He obviously wants to get a really good result in this first race. I'm not surprised Camish has, because he has the least number of laps with hybrid, so he needs to try and give himself every advantage to take advantage of this pole position. So it's interesting. Remember that on the laps that they have the hybrid, they have the full 15 seconds worth to use. It's just the number of laps that are restricted.
And you'll see on the timing graphic that when they are using hybrid, the lightning bolt will go blue. There'll also, if you see the car from the side, be a blue light flashing in the window. And if they have used all the hybrid for the lap, there'll be the yellow stripe through it. If they've used it for the race, then that will be displayed on the graphics as well. So this is the first time we've had hybrid and option tyres, and there's an awful lot to learn for everybody in this.
Yeah, the key to this is the coolest part of the day. The BMWs always take a little bit of time to get their tyres right in, but with a soft tyre on, Turkington could have that advantage at the start.
Josh Cook lining up 8th on the grid, incidentally, set for his 240th British Touring Car Championship race. You're looking at one of his 2 teammates, Will Powell, there, going to the grid with Nick Halstead to round out the grid. It is round 4 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship on the Indy circuit at Brands Hatch that always delivers drama. Get ready then, because the lights go red Lights will go. Now we're racing. Good getaway by the BMWs. Demon start by Turkington. Away like a stab rat with Jake Hill getting up to third. He defends from Ash Sutton, who keeps on coming to the inside line. Remember, they cross swords at Donington, but Jake Hill stays ahead. Rory Butcher is fifth, but a great getaway by Turkington. He leads Camish on the run to Druids.
Yeah, soft tyres on the BMW. Turkington got it hooked up perfectly, and really Camish didn't stand a chance there. Ash Sutton holding on for third from Jake Hill, who said he's just trying to finish where he started in this race.
Out of Graham Hill Bend, look, Turkington getting away, and Ash Sutton is a man on a mission, trying to work his way through the order. He dives up the inside line there, so Sutton goes second. Remember, he has got more laps of hybrid. He's on a different tyre as well, but Dan Camish going backwards. That was not in the game plan.
It was not in the game plan. He was hoping to use those soft tyres to have a really good first lap, but he's dropped 2 places. That isn't what he wanted to do.
And Turkington has checked out at the end of the opening lap, then as they come across the line. He's nearly a second to the good, and there's mayhem coming out of Clark Curve. In the midst of all of that, Adam Morgan's BMW with big damage. I think Stephen Jelly, Dan Rowbottom, Andrew Watson have got scooped up in that as well. And the race is going to be stopped because we've got a car in the middle of the road. Red flag is shown, but that's taken Jelly and Morgan out of the race. Rowbottom is in the gravel as well, and Stephen Jelly, you can see, has got huge damage on the front of the car. So a red flag with that car being in the middle of the road, and with 3 others in the gravel. Ian Watson, the clerk of the course, instantly calls for the race to be halted. The marshals will be on the scene, the medical team on the scene as well. Andrew Watson there is about to wriggle clear of the car store with Power Max Racing Vauxhall Astra. It's up against the tyre wall, so he's got to squeeze his way out of the car. Dan Rowbottom's Ford is in the gravel. Dan's having an absolutely ghastly weekend. It was difficult yesterday in the wet. He wanted to make progress in the dry, but he's got caught up in all of that. And also, as we know, Adam Morgan in the gravel as well. So they will return to the start-finish area. They may be brought to the pit lane just so that the track can be kept clear for the recovery operation to go on. But that was some opening lap by Turkington, wasn't it, to be nearly a second up the road? It
really was. He absolutely used those soft tyres and the rear-wheel drive advantage to its full on the first lap. Obviously, they're going to have to do it again now on a restart. That is a nasty place for an accident. The guys are just pulling 5th gear there, about 120 miles an hour, and obviously there's been a miscommunication. All hell's broken loose. Fortunately, all the drivers out of the car okay, and actually the damage not as bad as it possibly could be. I know I haven't got to fix them, but it could have been a lot worse. But it will obviously have to necessitate a full restart.
So there, Stephen Jelly has a look at the damage, and that's probably the car that's come off the worst. Right, let's try and piece it all together. Look in the background, Turkington leads up to the line, and already sideways across the road is Jelly. Rowbottom gets turned across into Morgan. Jelly gets hit again. Watson goes off in avoidance, but we didn't really see the trigger, but you can see what the outcome is.
Yeah, and Jelly was fortunate. Oh, there's the Rowbottom and Jelly. That was the start of it, wasn't it? The others were actually taking avoiding action. Jelly very lucky not to get caught again as he rolled back across the field. Nick Hamilton doing the avoidance job. And now you're right, the damage on Jelly's car is actually very extensive.
Right, this is Andrew Watson's view. Right, Rowbottom goes for a gap, tags Jelly, who hits the barrier, comes across and then snares Rowbottom, who then gets hit by Watson. So Stephen Jelly was a real pinball there, being hit from all sides.
It was the closing of the door, wasn't it, as Rowbottom tried to get inside Jelly. This is on board with Nick Hamilton, so you're looking a few cars in front of it. You can see, look, the instant kicks off here. Hamilton checks up well, reads the situation very nicely, and just gets just gets through. As I think that was Nick Halstead coming through very quickly on his right.
That was very close indeed. So Nicholas Hamilton got away with it. This is Andrew Watson's view. Right, have a look at Rowbottom just up the road, because he is on a mission. He tries to get up the inside of Jelly, who leaves the door ajar. And Rowbottom commits, and then Stephen Jelly comes across. There's the contact. So bang, into the wall goes Jelly. Then he comes back into the path of Rowbottom and gets hit again. Here's the impact for Robo. Robo cops damage on the front left corner of the car. Watson is in the gravel. Jelly's in the middle of the road.
Yeah, I mean, Rowbottom thought the gap was there, but the natural curvature of the road and Jelly with a car on his left as well meant the slightest contact on the rear of a rear-wheel drive car just turned him instantly into the wall.
Adam Morgan is another one having a pretty horrible weekend. That was not his fault. Yesterday he spun and found a parked car in his path, and today, well, again, it's all kicked off ahead of him.
Well, it means a huge amount of work for West Surrey Racing. That's 2 of their cars they've got to repair.
Yeah, just let's quickly hear from Stephen Jellick. Louise has found him.
Some nasty shunt.
Yeah, it was a bit of a wild ride. You know, I got a good start and made a position on 3 cars, I think, and got past a few into clearways, and on the run out, I've just got a whack from the rear on the drag onto the pit straight, which has turned me straight into the end of the concrete wall. And then obviously I'm spinning in the middle of a pack of cars and got whacked by about, well, a couple of them. But hopefully everyone's all right. But
Well, you look okay, which is the most important thing, but it looked like there was a fair amount of damage to your car.
yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I got away with. I didn't get collected by anyone really. The main damage has been done by obviously the pit wall, yeah, there's a fair bit there. So we'll see what the boys can do.
Glad you're okay.
No worries, cheers.
So it's a rather holy grid, but we are good to go racing. 18 laps, round 4 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. Lights out, Turkington blasts away once more, and another slow start by Camish, so he'll get to the jump, and Sutton goes ahead of Dan Cam as well. BMW's 1 and 2, Sutton into 3rd, Camish down to 4th, Rory Butcher 5th, Bobby Thompson 6th as they round paddock, but Dan Camish there, with now Rory Butcher crawling all over the back of it. A really bad start relative to those around him.
Yeah, not as good as the first restart. First start, was it? The pole jinx struck Camish good and hard as he lost 3 places there.
So Turkington leads. He's on the soft tyre. Jake Hill in 2nd place. He's on that harder medium compound. And you're on board with Camish then as they run down towards Surtees for the first time. Turkington is trying to build that gap. But look, Sutton up the inside of Jake Hill, goes for 2nd place on the inside line. They're both on the medium tyre, remember, but Sutton commands the inside line. He's going to get 2nd place as they come onto Radham Straight. Job done, the 4th goes through.
Yeah, Sutton trying to strike on the very first lap while the BMW's getting his tyres up to temperature, and he did exactly that. Camish is following him through into paddock. The BMW on the medium tyre, slightly vulnerable. Can Camish close the door? He can. Not a problem affecting Turkington because he's on the softs.
And he's 7/10 of a second to the good. Rory Butcher has bought into this battle pack as well, and he's taking Tom Ingram with him then as they come downhill for the 2nd time. Turkington is trying to edge away. The next of those on soft will be Camish then, and after him on soft tyres is Rory Butcher. But remember that Camish has only got 5 laps worth of hybrid usage. You look back then from Jake Hill's car at Rory Butcher's Toyota Corolla.
Yeah, looking for a way through as well on Hill, who's really struggling to get those tyres working for him, isn't it? It shows the differential between the tyres. Now we've got them introduced the option tyre. The differential between Jake Hill and his teammate Turkington, who's striding away at the front. Butcher looking for an opening, it's not there yet. Hill must have got his tyres up to temperature by now.
Not sure Turkington is striding away up front because Sutton has just done a better lap and he's brought that gap down to 7/10 of a second. So Ash Sutton is on a mission. So you've got a soft shod BMW, the medium shod Ford. There is the margin look as they come downhill. This is lap 3 out of 18. It is Camish running 3rd. Jake Hill is 4th. Rory Butcher 5th. Tom Ingram is in 6th. Small gap back to Bobby Thompson 7th. Josh Cook 8th. 9th. Dan Lloyd 10th is Ricky Collard. And loads more battles rage on low down. Aidan Moffat's on his toes up the inside of Ronan Pearson there. The 2 Scottish drivers go toe-to-toe. Moffat goes through. Jack Butel into the back of Pearson. He moves to the inside line. More damage done. The Cupra goes through. It's a bit dog-eared on the left front corner, isn't it? And also now trying to get in on the Actis. Sam Osborne racing nicely.
Yeah, but Ronan Pearson's fought back. He's got in that gap. He's opened that gap back up, and he's back through on that position. Good racing between these two.
Absolutely great battle. Osborne to the inside of Butel, and as you look at One Napa Racing UK, Ford Ash Sutton's is closing again on Turkington. The gap is under half a second. Osborne commits to the inside line into Druids, makes his move against Jack Butel for 15th place, and remember that the top 15 score points, so extra motivation for Osborne, and through he has gone. He's gained that spot. Right, all eyes on Sutton then. Equally behind him, Camish has just done an absolute best in the first sector. Here are the race leaders, they're almost as one.
But Sutton has used 2 laps already of the hybrid. Turkington hasn't used any. For the rest of this race, they'll then be equal on number of laps. That's why Sutton's closed down. The hybrid system is working well so far in this racing.
So Ash Sutton turns out of Paddock Hill Bend. The margin is down to .353 of a second. He has got 9 laps available. Turkington has got 10, so 1 extra lap, depending on how they manage it. And now in 3rd place, Dan Camish, who only has 5 laps, and he still has 5 laps of usage, is catching up as well. So that's not down to hybrid, that's down to pace. And he has done a personal best lap last time, quicker than the 2 ahead of him.
Yeah, it's just fascinating how it works, isn't it? With Sutton using that hybrid early in the race to close the gap up. Turkington with a bit of a lead, saving it for later, not using it on the first 2 laps. It's a really interesting conundrum. But now we have all the tyres up to temperature. It's down to hybrid racing and how they can manage the rest of this race strategically.
Good battle going on here. Look for 5th place. Rory Butcher's Toyota, Tom Ingram's Hyundai as they ride the curbs at Paddock, the climb up the hill. Now, last time around, the gap widened between the top 2 ever so slightly to 0.6 of a second. This battle pack is for 4th, Hill, Butcher and Ingram. Ash Sutton has done the fastest lap of the race. You get a point for that, don't forget. There's also that point for pole that Dan Camish took after yesterday. But on this lap, Turkington is building the advantage once more, still with that 10 laps of hybrid available to him.
Yeah, interesting. And when they're on a lap without hybrid, each of them, Turkington is a bit quicker. But Camish is the quickest of the 3 when they're not using hybrid, but he's on the soft tyres.
Nicholas Hamilton's pass on Jade Edwards going into Paddock Hill Bend, and that's for 19th place. Nick gains ground, good pass that on the inside line. Leaders go through. Turkington is now 1 second to the good, so that gap has markedly gone out over the last couple of laps. It's half a second Sutton to Camish. Hill is 4th, trying to shake off Butcher, who is a bit busy defending from Ingram now.
Yeah, very close battle this, and again the BMW is now fully up to working temperature. Hill's been able to pull away from Butcher, who appears to be just holding up Ingram ever so fractionally.
Along Cooper Straight they come. This is lap 7 of this shortened 18-lap restart here at Brands Hatch for the 4th round of the championship. Ingram trying to work out where he might be able to make a move against the Toyota ahead of him. Rory Butcher is on soft tyres, remember. Tom Ingram is on that harder medium compound, and it's soft for the race leader, Colin Turkington, and they're working well for him. 1.2 seconds now to the good.
Yeah, oh, a lovely dive up the inside from Ingram. A really clean pass. Does he want to run wide? Can he hold it in, or will Butcher get up the inside? Coming up to Druids, Butcher's just got his nose in. Great stuff.
So Ingram through, Butcher back through, and all of this, remember, is for 5th, and it's giving Jake Hill the chance to pull away. It's giving Bobby Thompson a chance to close just a little bit behind as they drop down through Graham Hill Bend. Now, game is on for 2nd place, look, because Camish has chipped away at Ash Sutton. When they crossed the line last time, it was 0.3 of a second between the 2, and so now on those soft tyres, Dan Camish all over the back of Sutton. Camish has still got all of his 5 laps of hybrid available, but Sutton has still got 9 laps available.
Yeah, fascinating battle between these 2. I mean, Sutton desperate to get as many points as possible. Look at the entry speed that Camish has on those soft tyres. Slightly better entry speed from turn into apex. But of course, Sutton desperately wants all the points after a difficult Donington Park. Camish is in a good point scoring position, so I don't suppose he wants to chance it too much. But on the other hand, he's got the quicker car, probably with the soft tyres on.
Sam Osborne on the inside, Ronan Pearson on the outside there as they come out of Druids and drop downhill just ahead of the pair of them. You've got Aidan Moffat, who has now gone through to gain ground there. So Moffat is hustling along. He's gaining places all the time. Tom Chilton, by the way, after his pit lane start, 19th last time through. So the race leader, Colin Turkington, is about to go across the timing line and to start lap number 10 with a margin of 1.5 seconds now over Ash Sutton. Good to see Sam Osborne in the fight, isn't it? That car in the midfield battle, but Turkington is on his own up front for the moment. A Sutton to Camish is 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, Sam Osborne with his best ever result, his first podium in BTCC at Donington. A fantastic fillip for him and the team, and of course his father Pete, who owns Motorbase Performance. So great result for them, and he's really thriving off that to get stuck in at this meeting as well.
News from the pits, we understand it was a gear-related issue for Tom Chilton, which is why he had that pit stop just before the race got underway, but he's on track, trying to gain ground if he can, as you look at Tom in the team, which is Tom Ingram, all over the back of Rory Butcher then. So the Toyota Corolla, the car that Tom Ingram, of course, gave the debut to in the championship before he switched teams. Again, Ingram looks to the inside of Paddock. Butcher is wise, though, this time comes it off.
Yeah, now here's a thought for you. Has Ingram and that Hyundai lost a bit of performance this year relative to the others? Have the Toyotas improved with their new Neil Brown engines? But Ingram doesn't quite look the fastest front-wheel drive car that we saw last year, does he? The Napa Racing Ford's Butcher in front of him in this race.
And that Cupra behind from Team Hard and Bobby Thompson also looking racy. So it's a rear-wheel drive BMW still holding sway up front. Colin Turkington looking for win number 64 to be on the podium for the 175th time in his illustrious career. And the gap has come down. It's down to 1 second on that lap. He's still got one extra lap of hybrid over Sutton, but the gap is down, and Sutton has edged away. Look from Camish. It's up to 7:10. So Sutton's having another push.
Yeah, well, Turkington and Sutton now have enough hybrid available to use on every lap of the rest of the race. Camish doesn't. Oh, big swapping moment there for Dan Lloyd coming out of paddock, and he has to let the Toyota through of Ricky Collard.
That's a change for 9th place then. Ricky Collard making good progress. He has really come of age in touring car terms this year. Much more confident, much happier in the car. All the lessons learned from last year being put to good effect. And a winner here in Formula 4 a good few years ago, of course, Ricky Collard, who went on to win races in Blancpain GT event, comes now through Clearways into Clark Curve, having gained that 9th place, trying to get away from the Cupra of Dan Lloyd.
Yeah, and I'm glad Ricky didn't follow up on his threat to retire from motorsport over the winter. He's come back with a strong team, with a strong car, and the championship's all the better for having a Collard in it.
Absolutely so. As there, George Gamble in the third of the Toyotas battles over the line. George Gamble currently fighting for 11th with Aaron Taylor-Smith. George Gamble new to front-wheel drive this season, learning rapidly. Aaron Taylor-Smith, race winner in the championship in the past, fends him off. Aidan Moffat is behind, and then he is taking Ronan Pearson through for 14th place. Sam Osborne is 15th, the last of the scorers, as they drop down the hill for lap 13.
So the gap at the end of the last lap was 1.1. Again, Turkington and Sutton both using hybrid on this lap. And as they cross the line this time, the gap is 1.2, so only a tenth up, but it's stabilised at that point.
A little bit elasticated, isn't it? It come down, it's stretched out again over those last couple of laps, as again Ingram thinks about the inside line heading into paddock. He always takes a bit more curve than does Rory Butcher ahead of him, but he can't yet find a way through as they head into Druid. The Speedworks run Toyota keeps the Accelerate Hyundai for the moment behind. Osborne to the inside of Pearson. They lean on each other, but Sam Osborne will go through there. Aidan Moffat is ahead of the pair, but Sam Osborne through on the inside line. Ronan Pearson up from the mini challenge on the outside, has to give way, switches sides, comes back on the outside down to Graham Hill Bend. But Sam Osborne, it might be in midfield, but he's racing really feisty here.
Yeah, and using the hybrid, you can see the blue light in the rear window flashing. He used that across the start-finish line on the way into paddock to gain that little bit of an advantage.
So Osborne, with his confidence markedly up after Donington Park, comes towards the timing line. We've got a driving standards flag for track limit offences for Aaron Taylor-Smith. Not a penalty, just a warning. And with the race now having 4 laps to go, Turkington to Sutton is still 1.2 seconds. There, Butcher versus Ingram. Now, Rory Butcher has got 2 laps of hybrid left. Ingram has got 4, and now Ingram's having another real push.
Really is, isn't he, towards the end of this race? No one got any tyre worries, really, with the shortened race distance. Up front, Camish is now using his hybrid as he has it to try and close up on Sutton, but of course Sutton and Turkington have it for every lap remaining.
So Colin Turkington over the timing line. Win number 64 is getting closer for him, isn't it? He's now 1.3 seconds ahead of Ash Sutton. He's just extended that gap ever so slightly. Ingram again on the back of Butcher, goes to the inside line, full send up the inside from the Hyundai. Tom Ingram goes through. Now, when he did this before, he ran wide and Butcher got the switch back. Not this time. Elbows well and truly out there from Ingram to stop Butcher making the move.
Yeah, Ingram did that perfectly. He stayed on the brakes long into the corner to block pass. It was a late lunge, but in just slowing the car down and sacrificing his exit speed, he protected that inside. Really clever. But look at the late lunge. It's really late, but he stays on the brake, stays on the brake, stays on the brake, so there's no cutback for Butcher. Really good driving.
What that also served to do was bring Bobby Thompson much closer to them as well, as the Fords, second and third, Sutton and Camish, go over the timing line, 0.4 of a second between them. Sutton did that fastest lap of the race earlier on, but he's 1.2 seconds back from Turkington. There's Tom Chilton, who's also wriggled past Ronan Pearson now for 14th place. So from the pit lane, starting last, Chilton's made good progress into the points as now Thompson gets the run up the inside of Butcher, who tries to move across, and they lean on each other. But Bobby Thompson says, hold my pint, I'm coming through.
Yeah, no messing, no roughing up Bobby Thompson. He's been around long enough to know how it works, and he was in that, gained that position. He was up the inside clearly and wasn't going to be intimidated.
So Rory Butcher tries to fight back, but the Team Hull Cooper, local team, local driver Bobby Thompson, up now into 5th spot. Rory Butcher tries the inside line. Is there a gap? There is. But can the Toyota Corolla get alongside as they come up to start the last lap, onto which Colin Turkington has gone? Nose to tail. It is just Thompson ahead of Butcher into paddock for the last time. Then Rory Butcher looks to the inside line, but not quite close enough to commit.
Yeah, well, Bobby Thompson got away with that one because he left the door wide open, didn't he? Up front, Turkington can stroke this one home. Camish is now right up behind Sutton, but he's not going to do. Oh, Sutton lost a bit of time coming off the corner, but not enough, I don't think, for Camish to get back.
Sutton bounced over the curve, didn't he? That just unsettled the car as it was spat to the outside of the road. Camish has got one last opportunity, and it starts here to try to get up alongside. Heading to the timing line, Colin Turkington is on target for the win. Is it going to be Sutton or Camish for second place? It looks like Ash Sutton has done just enough as Colin Turkington wins for the 64th time in his career in the BTCC. Second is Ash Sutton, and third, Dan Camish. We're not done yet, though, because Chilton is all over the back of Osborne. Jake Hill takes 4th. 5th is going to be Tom Ingram. And look at this train of cars coming through with a little tap there to get Ronan Pearson unsettled. He manages to hang on to it, though, but only just. Dexter Patterson right there behind him. Lots of Scots in this battle. Over the timing line there now comes Aaron Taylor-Smith to be 12th, and then behind him, deep breath, Moffat, Osborne, Chilton, Pearson, Patterson, Boutel and Doble.
A good race, and Colin Turkington drove an absolutely exemplary race. Once he got his tyres warmed up, he saved his hybrid, had it there and the performance on the soft tyres to bring it home. Really clever race, the sort of race that Turkington is exemplary at, and a great drive by him.
And still has a lap of hybrid to use, where there are more laps, so he measured it and managed it absolutely to perfection, as you say. Colin Turkington, the winner then of round 4 of the championship from Ash Sutton, and Dan Camish in 3rd, and that will do his championship hopes even more good. Another good haul of points, and he's all smiles inside the cab with 2 more races still to come here at Brands Hatch this afternoon.
Yeah, Camish will rue that poor start in race 2 that lost him 3 positions. He had the pace on those soft tyres to finish second, but second or third, no big real problem. He's leading the championship, and that's a good result for points.
So down the pit lane to the technical checks comes the BMW of Colin Turkington. Let's look at the result then of round 4 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. Colin Turkington the winner by 1.3 seconds from Ash Sutton. Dan Camish taking 3rd. 4th to Jake Hill ahead of Tom Ingram, and then Bobby Thompson, with the top 10 rounded out by Rory Butcher, Josh Cook, Ricky Collard and Dan Lloyd. Bobby Thompson the winning independent. George Gamble 11th from Aaron Taylor-Smith, then Aidan Moffat, Sam Osborne at the last point to Tom Chilton. Just missing out Ronan Pearson and then Dexter Patterson. Jack Boutel was ahead of Mikey Doble, and 20th was Jade Edwards. Nicholas Hamilton 21st ahead of Will Powell and Nick Halstead, with of course Stephen Jelly, Dan Rowbottom, Andrew Watson and Adam Morgan not being able to take that restart. So Ash Sutton taking that fastest lap of the race, Colin Turkington taking the race win, and Dan Camish 13 points ahead in the championship. Dan Camish leading Tom Ingram, with Jake Hill 3rd, Colin Turkington 4th, just 1 point back from Jake. Ash Sutton in the mix now 5th ahead of Tom Chilton. The top 10 rounded out by Adam Morgan, Bobby Thompson, Josh Cook and then Dan Rowbottom.